Hello to you on this drizzly, dreary, cool fall day. Today, the outside weather pretty much matches my internal weather. I'm all right. I'm just having a day. Do you have days when you're feeling just kind of blah? Maybe nothing particular is wrong, but everything just feels a little heavier than usual? Well, I'm working from home today because I woke up this morning with what feels like maybe the beginning of a cold, maybe a sinus infection. I've always found this, I might be getting sick feeling kind of annoying. But normally I just up my vitamin C and hope for the best. And I have a pretty amazing immune system, gratefully. So generally that's enough to ward off any seasonal cold. But it's not like that anymore, is it? Today, when we wake up with a scratchy throat, many of us are instantly bombarded with a series of questions. And the first one probably being, could it be COVID? Followed by, do I need to go for a COVID test? Where have I been exposed? Have I been diligent about wearing my mask and washing my hands? Do I need to isolate? For how long? Is there anything in my schedule this week I might need to postpone? And that's just the beginning for me. So this morning I sent a couple of text messages to notify others that I'd be working from home. I rescheduled an in-person meeting to a Zoom meeting, and I postponed a visit. Now I just wait and try not to feel overwhelmed or anxious. But anxiety is a pretty common feeling right now. I am seeing it in so many people. And there does seem to be enough happening to contribute to that feeling. I'm not going to list all of those things because I don't think it's particularly helpful to be constantly reminded of all the things that might cause us to feel overwhelmed. But maybe I can offer you this reminder from Scripture. Come to me, all you that are weary and with heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And that is from the Gospel of Matthew. And also Isaiah says, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Sometimes we forget these beautiful passages of Scripture that don't just allow us, but encourage us to lay down our burdens with Jesus. The 23rd Psalm, which is a favorite at funerals, is not just about what happens after we die. We get to lie down in green pastures and beside still waters during life too. So how do we do that? In a recent sermon, Reverend Lindsay Moan spoke about something in the psychology field known as surge capacity. Surge capacity is a collection of adaptive systems, mental and physical, that we draw on for short-term survival in acutely stressful situations, such as a natural disaster. The issue is that our surge capacity only allows us to adapt to major disasters if they are temporary. Natural disasters, for example, usually occur over a short period of time, even if the recovery is much longer. However, the pandemic, the disaster stretches out indefinitely. The emergency phase has now become chronic, and our surge capacity is depleted. It needs to be renewed. A team of psychologists and therapists suggested a few things that might help us get through this time. So I'm going to give you just a very brief description, but I will post an article link in the comments so you can read more about all of this if you're interested. So first, we need to accept that life is different right now. But that acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means not resisting or fighting reality so that you can apply your energy elsewhere. Second, we need to expect less of ourselves. Now, many of us have heard for most of our lives to expect more from ourselves in some way or another. Now, we must give ourselves permission to do the opposite. Next, we need to recognize the different aspects of grief. Those familiar stages of grief don't actually occur in a linear stage. But denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance are all major concepts in facing loss. Plenty of people are in denial, denying the virus is real, or that the numbers of cases or deaths are as high as reported, or that masks really help reduce disease transmission. And anger is everywhere. Anger at those in denial, anger at those not physically distancing or wearing masks, anger that we're required to wear masks, anger at vaccination requirements, and anger at those refusing to be vaccinated. And we're moving around those stages of grief, but I don't think many of us have reached acceptance yet. I know I haven't. Sometimes acceptance means saying, we're gonna live our best lives in spite of this. And sometimes it means accepting that we can't change what's happening right now. I want to read you one of the quotes by a psychologist that really resonated for me. He said, "We can kick and scream and be angry, or we can feel the other side of it with no motivation, difficulty focusing, lethargy, or we can take the middle way and just have a couple of days where you feel like doing nothing and you embrace the losses and sadness you're feeling right now. And then the next day, do something that has an element of achievement to it." Next, we can experiment with both and thinking. So an example of this might be saying, this is terrible, and many people are dying. And this is also a time for our families to come closer together. We have to face reality, but how we frame that reality mentally can help us cope with it. And there are a number of other suggestions, and I'm just going to list a couple of here, and then I will leave you to read more on your own. So they are: look for activities, new and old, that continue to fulfill you. Focus and work on maintaining important relationships. And finally, begin slowly building your resilience bank account. So this means gradually building things into your regular life practice that promote resilience and provide a fallback for when life gets tough. So this includes things like sleep and nutrition, exercise, meditation, self-compassion, gratitude, connection, and saying no. So as we look at how some of these suggestions might help us to lay down our burdens at the moment, it might also be helpful to remember that we will not feel like this forever. And that God is with us in this time when our surge capacity is maxed out. But as we give ourselves grace and take some naps and come to accept that life might be difficult right now, we will be replenished and renewed. God will continue to breathe life into us and work through us. So if you need it, take some time for a rest. Lay down your burdens, refill your tank, rejuvenate your surge capacity. And if none of those feel possible for you right now, please talk to someone. Deborah, myself, a trusted friend or family member, a therapist. Remember that God often works through others. That's why we're here, to be God's hands and feet and heart in the world. We are not alone. We need each other. So may this week offer you some opportunity to just lay it down and rest in God's love.